Good to have you here. Seriously, welcome back to the show.
And if this is your first time tuning in, you picked a good one to start with.
You really did. Because today we are getting into something that I think every single English learner has felt at some point.
Every single one.
That moment where you open your mouth and nothing comes out.
Or worse, something comes out, but it is not what you wanted to say.
Right. You had the whole sentence in your head, and then out comes, the thing.
The thing! Classic. We've all been the thing person.
So today we are asking, why does this happen? And more importantly, what can you actually do about it?
Because there is something you can do. That's the good news.
Big good news. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so I want to start with something that might feel a little uncomfortable.
Oh no.
No, it's fine. It's just, here's the truth. Most people who can't speak English, they actually know English.
Say that again, louder.
They know English. Like, they studied for 2, 3, maybe 5 years. They passed their school exams. They understand grammar rules. They can read an article in English and understand it.
But the moment someone speaks to them, in real life, it all just disappears.
Gone, like it was never there.
So the problem is not knowledge. The problem is something else entirely.
Exactly. And that's what most people get wrong. They think, I just need to study more vocabulary, more grammar, more rules.
And so they go back to their books.
And they study more. And they still can't speak.
Because they're solving the wrong problem.
Bingo.
Okay, so walk me through it. What is the actual problem then?
All right, so think about it this way. Imagine you are learning how to ride a bicycle. And for 3 years, you only read books about bicycles. You read about balance. You read about how to turn. You read about speed and brakes and everything.
You become a bicycle expert. On paper.
On paper, yes. But then someone puts you on a real bicycle. And what happens?
You fall.
You fall. Because reading about riding is completely different from actually riding.
Oh, that's actually a really good comparison.
And English speaking is the same thing. You can study the rules of conversation for years, but if you never actually open your mouth and speak, your brain never learns how to do it in real time.
It's a muscle. Literally like a muscle.
Exactly like a muscle. And if you never use the muscle, it doesn't matter how much you read about it, it will not get stronger.
I love that. Okay, so the first problem is people are training the wrong thing.
Training the wrong thing, yes.
But wait, I want to push back a little here. Because some people do practice speaking. They go to English class, they do speaking exercises, and they still can't have a real conversation.
Ooh, good point. So this brings us to the second problem,
Which is?
the difference between practicing in a safe environment versus speaking in a real one.
Oh, yes. Okay, explain.
So in class, you know what's coming. The teacher says, okay, now describe your weekend. And you have time to think. You prepare your sentences. Maybe you even write it down first. And then you say it.
Right. It's almost like a performance. You rehearse, then you perform.
Exactly. But real conversation, real life speaking is nothing like that. Someone asks you something you didn't expect. You have to respond immediately. You have no time to think, and suddenly, your brain panics.
The freeze. That's the freeze moment.
That's exactly the freeze moment. And here's why it happens. Your brain, under pressure, under stress, it cannot access information the same way it does when you're calm and relaxed.
It's like, you know where you put your keys when you're relaxed? But when you're late and stressed, suddenly you can't remember anything.
Perfect example. Perfect. Your brain knows the information, but stress blocks access to it.
So the solution isn't just practice more. It's practice under the right conditions.
Practice that feels a little uncomfortable, a little unpredictable, a little real.
Okay, I want to bring in something here because I think there's another layer to this that we haven't talked about yet.
Go for it.
Fear.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about muscles and training and real conditions all day, But honestly, a huge reason people can't speak is they are terrified of making mistakes,
Oh, this is so real. This is so deeply real.
right? Like, you're not just afraid of the language, you're afraid of sounding stupid. You're afraid people will judge you. You're afraid of that 1 second of silence after you say something wrong and everyone just looks at you.
That look. I know that look.
We all know that look.
And here's the thing. That fear is actually more paralyzing than not knowing the language. I've seen people with B2 level English, technically quite good, who can barely say good morning to a native speaker because the fear is so strong.
And then you see someone with maybe a 2 level, much less grammar knowledge, but they just go for it. They talk, they make mistakes, they laugh about it, and somehow people understand them just fine.
Confidence carries a lot.
Confidence carries so much. Tone, body language, willingness to try. People respond to that.
So fear is actually the invisible wall. It's not your vocabulary, it's not your grammar. It's the wall you built in your own mind.
Built brick by brick. Every time someone laughed at your pronunciation, every time a teacher corrected you in front of the class, every time you felt embarrassed.
Yeah, those moments stick.
They really do.
So let's flip this around. Because we don't want to just make people feel bad about themselves.
No, we want to actually help.
Right, so if fear is the wall, how do you break it down?
Okay, so I have a theory about this, and it might sound simple, but I think the first step is you have to change your relationship with mistakes.
Say more.
So in school, mistakes are bad. You make a mistake, you lose points. You make a mistake, the teacher corrects you. Over time, your brain learns that mistakes equal failure.
Punishment almost.
Yes, punishment. But in real language learning, mistakes are not failure. Mistakes are data. They tell you exactly where your brain needs more practice.
I like that. Mistakes are data.
Think about a baby learning to walk. Does a baby feel embarrassed when it falls?
No, it just gets back up and tries again.
It doesn't think, oh, everyone is watching me, I'm so embarrassed. It just falls, gets up, tries again, over and over, and eventually it walks.
And nobody says, wow, that baby is so bad at walking. Everyone just cheers when it takes a step.
Exactly. But somewhere between being a baby and being an adult, we lost that. We started caring way too much about looking good and not enough about actually learning.
We traded progress for pride.
That's beautifully said. We traded progress for pride.
Okay, so practically speaking, what should someone actually do? Like tomorrow morning, someone wakes up, they're B1 level, they want to improve their speaking. What's the move?
All right, let's get real practical here. First thing, and this sounds almost too simple, talk to yourself. Talk to yourself? I'm serious. Every day, narrate what you're doing in English. You're making coffee. I'm making coffee. I usually add 2 spoons of sugar. Today I feel like adding more. Just out loud in English.
Okay, why does that work though?
Because you're training your brain to form English sentences in real time, with zero pressure. No one is judging you. No one is watching. It's just you and your coffee.
And you're building that, what did you call it, that muscle?
That's the muscle. You're building the pathway in your brain that connects thought to English words to speech. And the more you do it, the faster and more natural it becomes.
I actually did this when I was learning, and honestly, it felt weird at first. But after a few weeks, I noticed I was thinking in English more naturally.
Yes, thinking in English, that's the next level. Because most learners, they think in Vietnamese first, translate to English, then speak.
And translation takes time.
Translation takes time, and it breaks the flow of conversation. Native speakers don't wait for you to translate. The conversation keeps moving.
So if you can learn to think directly in English, even just a little, that changes everything.
Game changer. Complete game changer.
Okay, what's the second thing? You gave us talking to yourself.
Second thing, and this is big, you need to consume English that is just slightly above your level.
Not too easy, not too hard.
Exactly. This is called, some researchers call it, comprehensible input plus 1. You understand about 80 to 90%, but there's always something new, something that stretches you a little.
Because if everything is too easy, you're not growing.
And if everything is too hard, you get frustrated and quit.
The sweet spot.
The sweet spot. So for B1 to B2 learners, things like this podcast, actually.
Nice plug.
I mean, genuinely though, podcasts like this, YouTube channels with clear speakers, TV shows with subtitles, not Vietnamese subtitles, English subtitles.
Oh, that's a big one. English subtitles, not Vietnamese.
Because when you read Vietnamese subtitles, your brain is processing Vietnamese. You're not really training your English reading or listening. You're just watching a Vietnamese show with English audio.
Wow, I never thought about it that way, but that's exactly what's happening.
Right? Switch to English subtitles, and suddenly you're connecting the sounds to the words to the meaning, all in English.
Okay, third thing, because I feel like we need to address the real-world practice issue.
Yes, you need actual humans.
You need actual humans. But I know, a lot of people listening right now are thinking, I don't know any native speakers. I don't have anyone to practice with.
And that is a valid concern, but also not entirely true anymore.
Because of the internet.
Because of the internet. There are apps, language exchange apps, where you find someone learning Vietnamese and you help them with Vietnamese and they help you with English.
Both people win.
Both people win. Nobody feels embarrassed because you're both learning. You're both making mistakes. It's a safe space.
And you know what? I want to say something about online practice versus in-person practice. Because some people think, oh, it doesn't count if it's online.
No, it absolutely counts. Your brain doesn't know the difference. If you're forming sentences, responding in real time, feeling a little nervous, pushing through, that is real practice.
The nervousness is actually important, isn't it? Like, a small amount of pressure is good.
Yes, a small amount. Because in real life, there is pressure. So you need to train with a little pressure, just not so much that you freeze.
Goldilocks again. Not too much, not too little.
Exactly. Goldilocks principle of language learning.
Okay, I want to bring up something that I think a lot of people feel but maybe don't say out loud.
Go for it.
Sometimes, when people can't speak, they start to feel like, maybe I'm just not good at languages. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe English is just not for me.
Yeah, I've heard people say this. I felt this.
And I really want to push back on that. Hard.
Please.
Because here's the thing. Language ability is not fixed. It is not something you are born with or not born with. It is a skill. Like driving, like cooking, like playing guitar.
And nobody says, I'm just not a driving person after failing their test once.
Right. You take the test again, you practice more, and eventually, you drive.
Some people learn faster, some slower, but almost everyone can learn.
The people who can't speak English, they weren't taught how to speak English. They were taught how to read it, write it, pass tests about it. But nobody sat them down and said, here is how you train your speaking brain.
I think that's the core of everything we've talked about today.
It's a system problem, not a you problem.
Say that one more time.
It is a system problem, not a you problem.
Okay, we are coming up on time, but I want to do something a little different to close today.
Yeah?
I want us to paint a picture. Like, imagine someone listening to this right now. Maybe they've been studying English for 3 years. Maybe they feel stuck. Maybe they feel embarrassed every time they have to speak.
I can picture that person so clearly.
And I want to speak directly to them for a second. Because everything you've been feeling, the frustration, the embarrassment, the why can't I do this? That is not a sign that you're failing.
That feeling is actually a sign that you care, that you want more than you currently have.
And wanting more, that is the beginning of everything.
Every person who speaks a second language fluently, every single one, went through exactly what you're going through right now. The silence, the freeze, the why can't I just say it?
They just didn't stop there.
They kept going. Not perfectly, not smoothly, but they kept going.
And here's what I want you to take away from today. Not more grammar rules, not more vocabulary lists, just this one thing.
Say the thing, whatever it is, even if it's wrong, even if it's broken English, even if it sounds nothing like what you meant to say.
Say the thing.
Because the version of you who speaks confidently, that person doesn't exist yet. But every time you open your mouth and try, you are building that person.
One sentence at a time.
One conversation at a time.
One mistake at a time.
Yeah, that's it. That's really it.
All right, that is a wrap on today's episode.
What a good one. Genuinely, I needed this conversation today too.
Same. Okay, if this hit home for you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because honestly, there's somebody in your life right now who feels exactly what we talked about.
And they need to know, it's not them, it's the system. And the system can be fixed.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. It genuinely means the world.
Take care of yourselves, keep practicing, keep going.
And we will see you in the next one.
See you then.